Hi, this will be my third attempt because I keep um, doing the close-up shots to the wrong end of my phone, so you couldn't see. So this is what I had done earlier on a video. It was totally ridiculous. This is like 10 stitches. I'm going to go back to the beginning and show you how I came up with these 10 stitches on the needle. So, taking that off, unraveling it. So I've got some yarn here. I have a ball of yarn in my right hand, and the tail end we're gonna put on my left side. And so, we don't know exactly how much yarn we need, but if we're gonna do something with like 12 stitches, that's probably more than enough, probably a yard or so. But you get used to gauging that, and it's kind of hit and miss. So I take the ball end of the yarn is over to my right side, just throw it over there, and I'm going to use the same kind of circular needle one like you like. And the tail end is over this side. So the tail end sits on my palm, on the back of my hand. The ball yarn end comes to the right through the V that's made by my thumb and my index finger. So you can see that, right? So then I take the yarn from the ball end, I wrap it behind my thumb, back and through the same V, so that now I've got a loop with my ball end still on the right, but it's lapped over top of the tail end. So now I've got the V and I've got a loop on my thumb. So then I take my needle, I lay it on top of that ball yarn. So there's the ball end yarn. The needle's going to sit on top of that. And it's going to go under the loop on my thumb and towards the back of my thumb. I'm going to hold it with my other fingers. So now I've got the ball yarn here. I'm going to wrap it back and over the tip of the needle. And then keeping that on there, come back through the space between the two yarns that are now around my thumb. Through that, put the point up through that, and just take the whole thing off. Okay, and then go through that quickly. Back around and back through that triangle and pull it tight, but not too tight. You want to be able to move the stitches up and down the needle. You don't want it so tight that you're fighting with it, but also you don't want it too loose. You don't want big loops on the end here because that'll leave gaps between your stitches when you start to knit. So again, now we've got one stitch on. Take the needle again. The tail end is still to my left and the ball is still to my right. And those two yarns sort of sit on the bottom of the needle. See that? So now I'm going to make stitch number 2. So I'm underneath the needle now, like this. And this is the tail end. So I'm going to wrap that around my thumb. So let me you have to look at it backwards, I think. So I'm wrapping my thumb around that tail yarn, if you will, and then it's on my thumb again. So again, I'm going to do it again. This is the ball end, this is the tail end, this bottom of the stitch is there. So you take that tail end, bring it between the V, between my thumb and index finger, and instead of, like with the first stitch, we wrap the yarn over the thumb that way, but that's only for the first stitch. So for the second and over to the 150th, you actually have the yarn between as before, but instead of moving the yarn, you're taking your thumb, you're going behind the needle, coming down between the two yarns, and up the back, and now I've got a loop again. So the needle goes under the loop and behind. The ball stitch goes under the needle, not on top of the needle to do your loop. So always it stays underneath the needle. Otherwise you're going to have a weird thing. Take that ball yarn under the needle, back and over the tip of the needle. Pull it down a little bit, but not too tight. So you want that piece of yarn now to come back up through that same triangle as before. And tighten it a little. So now we've got 2 stitches. So again, ball yarn on the right, on the bottom of the needle, tail end to the left on the bottom of the needle, between my thumb and index finger. I'm going to take my thumb and wrap it around, down and between the 2 yarns. You can see that, between the 2 yarns. And my thumb comes up. So now take the needle under the loop on my thumb, goes to the back, the ball yarn under the needle, around and over the tip. Hold on to it with your, I like to wrap it around my pinky. And you bring that down and you want to come up. This is where sometimes we lose, oh gosh, God, I'm going to do that again. Oh no, I'm not. That was 3. Okay. Around, bring my thumb down in between the 2 yarns and up. The point of the needle goes underneath and behind the yarn. The ball end stays under the needle, goes over the tip of the needle, and you have to bring that down. And this is really tricky when you get past the, this is the worst angle, and up through that little triangle, which sometimes you have to search for. It gets a little tight, and then pull it tight. So that's 4. I gotta sit up. My back is killing me. Oh my God. Okay. So 4 stitches. Now we got 4 stitches. Looks really good. So again, you got the needle with the 4 stitches. You got your ball end to the right and your tail end to the left. And they're both sort of hanging on the bottom of the needle, if you know what I mean. So there's the top and you got this cute little weavy pattern on the bottom. So my ball end, my tail end, the tail end again goes into the V, like that. My thumb comes down. I take my thumb behind the needle, around and down between the 2 yarns and up. And now I've got the loop again. Needle underneath to the back, ball end yarn over the tip, pull it down a bit, not too tight if you can. And you see that triangle right there now. You can see that triangle between those 2 yarns. That's where this little crossover, you're going to bring the needle down, not letting that little crossover off the needle, come up between the triangle and pull it off. That's 5. I'm going to do 7 more. Okay, so again, you've got a lovely little 5 needles with the little sort of basket weave on the bottom. And you got your 2 yarns hanging on the bottom. The ball end is to your right. The tail end is to your left. Again, you put the yarn between your thumb and index finger. Your thumb's going to go behind the needle, down, around, and up. There's my loop. Needle goes under and to the back. Ball yarn goes to the right over the tip. I pull it down, and it's got to come up then in that triangle there. So I pull it down and up through and pull everything off, pull the 2 yarns, not too tight. So again, when you get to this point, as you're going along, if you see that nice weave, it's not too tight, but there are no big loops. So the foundation row or the cast on row is really important because it sort of sets the whole tension for the piece you're working on. So if you were to get, say you were to do another couple of stitches, but you see the gap between the stitches is like an inch or more, and they're not even, just take them off the needle, those ones, and cast on again, because it's easier to pay attention to that as you go along instead of casting on like 25 or 100 stitches and looking back on the cast on row and you're seeing all these big gaps. You want to gauge that as you're going, because it's way easier than having to take the whole thing off and start from scratch. So there's 6 stitches. I'm going to do 6 more, and then I'm going to do the knit separate and the cast off separate. So here we go again. Needle with the little weave on the bottom. This is my ball end over to the right. This is my tail end over to the left. Take the tail end between your thumb and your index finger. Awkward. Thumb goes behind the needle, keeping the yarn in the V. It comes down, and between the 2 yarns comes up. So now you still have the ball end here, you still have the tail end there. The point of the needle goes under the yarn towards the back. The ball yarn goes over the tip. Pull it down, not too tight. And you can see the little triangle. The yarn on your needle has to come down and up through there. Take them off, and now we've got 7 stitches. Again, tail end through between the thumb and index finger. Thumb goes behind, down between the 2 yarns and up. Then needle goes under. The ball yarn goes over the tip and back down through that triangle. And I pull it tight, but not too tight. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A few more. Tail yarn through the V, thumb goes around and down and through the 2 yarns and up. Needle underneath, yarn over the tip. Look for the triangle, there it is, and pull it together. Oh, and let's do 3 more, make it 12. Yarn, tail yarn in the V, thumb goes down, under, and between the 2 yarns and up. Needle underneath and behind, ball yarn over the tip. Look for the triangle, pull that yarn down and through the triangle, good grief, and pull tight. Okay, so I'm going to do a few more, but this is looking good. It got like that little basket weavy effect. This is what it looks like from the side. And always those 2 yarns are hanging together on the bottom of the needle along with that weave. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to cast on a few more. Then I'll come back and do one. I'll do a row or 2 of the knit stitch we did. And I'll do another one after that on how we learn to cast off stitches when we're done. So I hope this is helpful. Give it a try and let me know.